Welcome back to another episode of Her Story Untold Studios. I am your host, Tanir, and I'm excited to have you with us today. At Her Story Untold Studios, look at me, messing scribe, and to stay connected with our latest episodes. Your support helps us continue spreading hope and strength. As we always say, every story has the power to transform lives. Today we have an extraordinary guest with us, you guys. She's sharing her journey of facing burnout, how she navigated through it, and emerging stronger than ever. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself.
Hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Simone Little. Thank you so much
You're
for having
welcome.
me. I'm excited to be here to talk more about just my journey, my story. I appreciate you holding space for me today.
Yes. So we're going to get right into it. What was the turning point when you realized you were experiencing burnout?
Well, I am one of those entrepreneurs that I never stay in the same place for too long, right? So I'm always moving, I'm always trying new things. But at this particular point in my life, I was transitioning to a new career. I had this wonderful position. I loved this position, but it came to a close due to no fault of my own. And I had all my eggs in that basket. And so it led me to being into, and that taught me to never put all my eggs in one basket. And I was like, well, never again, never again, never again. Well, I'll just be doing the one thing and have all my eggs in one basket as an entrepreneur, working with like one client and letting that be it. I will always diversify all the things. So that's what I decided to do. This was right before the pandemic started. I ended up getting a client. I was her personal assistant. She was amazing. It was great. But again, I had all my eggs in that one basket. And I was like, nope, won't catch me slipping again. And so I began taking on other clients as a virtual assistant. I had an agency. I was doing online business management. I was doing all types of things in the admin operations world at that time. And yeah, it was great, right? But then I had up to 20 clients at one time.
Oh, wow.
And it was really just me. Like I had a smidget of help, but it wasn't enough to truly be helpful. Not really. And I was tired. This was, like I said, this was at this point, it was like at the height of the pandemic. I was working like 80 hours a week. I was going to bed late, waking up early, working on weekends. Two small kids. I wasn't seeing them. I wasn't really spending time. Although they were home with me, they were home. It was a pandemic. Where else were they going? It's crazy to not see your kids when you're at home with them. Like that's madness. So I was doing a lot, and I literally just I got burnt out. It was a lot in such a short period of time.
Wow. 20 clients. Ooh, what were some of the initial steps you took to address your burnout?
The first thing I did was I talked to my circle, talked to my close inner circle about the things that were going on. I think that a lot of times as entrepreneurs, what happens is that when we're going through things, we tend to hold them inside because we feel like no one can relate to the things that we're going through. No one can help us because there's no one in our life that's like in our shoes. And while we might not necessarily have people in our lives in our shoes, that doesn't mean that we don't have wise people in our life. So
Right.
I talked to those around me, and that helped a little bit, helped give me thought partners. So I wasn't the only one thinking about this problem that I was facing. Like, I'm tired, I don't know what to do. And so one of my friends, who hadn't even known me that long at that point, I think we had been friends for less than a year. She was like, "Well, how much money do you have saved up?" And I was like, "Actually, I have quite a bit of money saved up." She was
Okay.
like, "Okay, can you take some time off? Like, can you talk to your husband? Can you take some time off?" And I was like, I never considered that fact, and that scares me.
Right.
And I had to address that. Why would that scare me? Why would it scare me if it's not the financial aspect of things that is holding me back? Why would it scare me to take time off? And so that gave me something to really think about. Does it scare me that I won't be able to have clients again? Like if I take time off, are they going to, lose their trust in me? Like what are the repercussions if I decide to do this?
Right.
And what are the repercussions if I decide to not do it? like on the flip side, do I just continue in this cycle? What happens to my health? What happens to my relationships with my family, my friends, more importantly, my children, my relationship with God? Like, what are all of the things that happen if I decide not to do it? And through that
Right.
entire thought process and continuing to share the thoughts that I had with her, and she kind of co-thought with me and sharing it with, like my sisters and things like that, that helped me to kind of figure things out. But I wasn't alone in the thought process. It wasn't just me figuring that out. And that really helped me not just be solo and had all the weight of it on me in that moment.
Oh, wow. Okay. How did you balance self care while managing your business responsibilities?
But when I was burnt out, there was no self-care. What was that?
Right.
So self-maintenance. I mean, other than like the most self-maintenance I had was eating semi-regularly and taking a shower. Like there was nothing else. But coming out of burnout, I did set better boundaries with things that were non-negotiables for me on the
Okay.
regular basis, right? So one of the things that I was like, one of the things that I wake up and look into doing every single morning is my makeup. Like as we just girl to girl, we love our makeup. And so that was like that coming out of that phase. I was like, I'm going to get up in the morning. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to do my makeup. I'm going to get pretty. I'm going to feel good about the way I walk into my day instead of just waking up and diving into work. Like I'm going to feel good. I'm going to fully wake myself up. And that is
Right.
of self-care. Like I don't have to do my makeup, but it's something that feels good to me. Making sure that, hey, I actually have a chance to eat breakfast and actually enjoy it instead of scoffing it down, trying to hurry up. And so those small little changes that I was able to make coming out of it was really, really helpful for me to be able to regain my mental state.
Oh, okay. I like that. So when you experience burnout, did it affect, because burnout, you can be tired, you don't want to do anything. Did it affect you as a mom?
It, you know, I have two children, right? I have
Mhm.
a son, he's older, he's 12 now. I have a daughter, she's 7 now. At the time, my daughter was maybe around 3 or 4. My son
Okay.
was, however he was. I don't math. I don't math. So, someone somewhere else can do the math. When my son was growing up, we spent a whole lot of time together. I was still working. I own a hair salon too. So I was working in the hair salon at that time when my son was growing up.
Mhm.
That was great, but we spent a lot of time together. I do notice that now that my daughter is older, it's a different type of connection because I went through that period when she was younger where I didn't spend as much time with her. And so
Okay.
that is where I'm like, I can kind of see, like, I feel like I just don't know her as well as I know my son sometimes. Like,
Right.
I know how that boy ticks like the back of my hand. But my husband, on the other hand, he was furloughed during the pandemic. He was at home with the kids all day. So he
Right.
knows my daughter. I'd be like, what does she like? What does she like? I can ask him questions and he knows her like the back of his hand. And so
Mhm.
I noticed that some of that intimacy that I had the opportunity to gain with my son, I didn't quite get the same level. But like we're still close, like we still play, we still do all the things. But I do notice that that is the difference. That is the shift that I missed from working so much during that time when she was so young.
Okay. So during the time that you were dealing with burnout, I know you said you had 20 clients. Did you ever think like, okay, this is too much on my plate. I need to double back and like cut down how many clients I have? Did you come up with some type of game plan on how to be like organized so this won't happen to you again?
So the first thing that I did was I actually fired all my clients.
Well,
I let them all go, all 20. I took 6 weeks off.
okay.
And I was like, I'm taking 6 weeks off. I will send you an email. I didn't promise. I promised nothing. Like the rest of my friend gave, I thought about it. I think I gave them maybe 3 weeks notice that this was happening. Like I gave advance notice. Hey, this is. I realized that none of my contracts were like a contract that I needed to complete or anything like that. Like everyone had the amount of time that they had, and that was it. And so when I came back, that time allowed me to think about what it is I actually want to do. Like I actually don't want to do what I was doing. Like, what am I actually doing? Well, in all my relationships that I had with my clients, I'm actually coaching them on how to grow their business. I'm coaching them on how to, although I'm burnt out, I'm taking them out of burnout. Like I'm
Right.
helping them organize their life. I'm helping them improve their relationships with their husbands and their loved ones. I'm pushing them on how to handle difficult conversations. Like I'm doing all the things that I need to do myself, but for them. But I actually enjoy that.
Right.
So I do more of it. And the amount of things that I can get done in a day, it's probably 10 times more than the average person can get done because I know how to organize my time. I know how to manage my energy, which is why I was so burnt out to begin with, because I can get so much done, but it's just at what cost. And so I kind of linked into the things that I was good at and I was able to teach others. I joined a program as well that really helped me to think deeply about where I was. And I as a productivity coach and a fractional COO, Chief Operating Officer. And I still function as a Chief Operating Officer for some businesses, but as a lifestyle designer, merging both life and business coaching, which is really just, it's the best feeling in the world to be able to help women in that way. So yeah, I have since recently reopened my virtual assistant agency with limited clients. I don't have 20. I think I have 3. Which is way more manageable. And I have help. I have 2 assistants. Well, 3 actually, 3 assistants. And that's helped a lot.
That's awesome, Simone. Wow. Woo, girl, 20 clients. I would have been like, you know what? I can't. Nope.
If you go to my Instagram page, I have a pin post. It's either the second or third one. If you open it, you'll actually see the whiteboard. I kept the whiteboard to remember myself, girl, don't go crazy again. Of all the clients that I had, and I had a day where I wrote down on this huge poster board every task that I had for each one of those clients. And you can literally see the names. And under those comments, you'll see some of my clients saying, wow, I see my name there. Like, I will tell a joke, but I would never tell a lie. It was crazy.
What? I believe it. So, what role did faith play in your journey to recovery?
Well, I am faith centered. So what I don't normally share on podcasts is my faith, just because I think it's different and not many people understand that. So I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, which just I'm a Christian, but not all people know too much about Jehovah's Witnesses. But really, what that means is that I just answer to Jehovah God first. Like he leads my life. I rely on him. He tells me what to do. And the advice that I get really comes directly from the Bible. Like, if this is what it says, this is what I'm going to do. So it really took a lot of faith, though, to say, all right, there's a scripture that says, you count the cost of something. Like before you go, what builder before he builds a house does it count the cost? Like that is something that I really firmly believe in. So as I was going through what to do with the clients, right? Okay, I have the money. We have money saved. So money's there. So what is the risk that I'm taking? Let me count the cost. And really sitting there, how much money do we have to sustain us for how long?
Right.
What do I need to do? And at what point do I need to do it to make sure that I'm setting myself up to be able to make money again?
Right.
At what point is the money going to start to run out? And so throughout that whole process, just praying for wisdom, praying for guidance, and then actually letting my actions give God something to bless. And so that played a big part. And even when I was burnt out, I didn't miss worship. Like those were things, like although we were on Zoom because we're in a pandemic, those were always non-negotiables. I didn't miss. And for me, that's a good example for my kids. Like when things get tough, you don't cut God out of the picture. Like that is not.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
To this day.
I love that. My grandmother was a Jehovah's Witness. Rest in peace. So I definitely understand, what you guys believe in, but I respect. What was the most surprising thing you learned about yourself during the process?
That I can literally do whatever I decide to do. I think that is, and I think I'm relearning that every single day, because really the self doubt that creeps in when you pivot. I pivot a lot, from owning a hair salon to doing makeup to being a virtual assistant to a COO to like all the pivots that I've taken along my journey. Is literally me just saying, wow, I can accomplish this because, I work hard and I do the work, I do the research, I do the things. But I think being able to make that pivot from being someone who was very service-based business owner to someone who was coaching and speaking, that really showed me, wow, I really can do the things that I
Right.
put my mind to, was surprising. And as I continue to make more pivots, I'm still relearning that. Because sometimes when things happen and they're good, you kind of think it's a fluke.
Right.
What's happening? This is
That's
the stuff
me.
that you.
Like, what is this? What's the catch?
Exactly. Exactly. And realizing that, oh, there isn't any catch. I just like, I work hard at something, I pray about it, I take the steps, and it eventually works out. Maybe not exactly as I thought about it in my mind, but it does.
Hmm.
It's like, wow, I didn't know that it was possible.
Right. I'm super proud of you, Simone. Super proud.
Thank
Can you
you.
describe any moments of doubt or fear you faced and how you overcame it?
I mean, yeah, I was taking that sabbatical. I was deathly afraid. Deathly. Because some of these relationships I had for years, and some of them were brand new. And
Right.
some of them didn't end well, to be honest. Not everyone was happy that I was doing something for myself. Not everyone was a cheerleader for me. Not everyone cared that I needed to take care of myself and to take care of my family. And having to have those conversations, it was really scary. And some of my clients were like, they're big names, they're celebrities. Like, I've worked with some influential people, and those were the relationships that didn't work out, and that we're not on talking terms, and that was such a risk, and that was so scary.
Right.
And it's like, to this day, sometimes I still kind of think, could I have handled it differently? Then I think about the clients who came out of there where we're still friends today. Some of them I still work with to this day. And I remind myself, like, no, I did what I needed to do, although that didn't go the way I thought it would.
Right.
I had the same conversation with someone else, and it turned out way different.
Okay. Okay. What advice would you give to someone currently experiencing burnout?
So I teach women almost every day how to prevent or come out of burnout. And the first step that I tell them to take is to make a list, write down the things that are currently burning you out.
Okay.
Out of that list, you'll probably get like 10 to 15 things, right? You're probably like, okay, now what? It's fine, it's fine. That's what I want you to do. Look at the
Okay.
list, pick the things that happen to you most consistently, or that are the biggest red flags out of those three things. Out of those that's list of things. Pick those three things. Put those aside. Prioritize them. One, two, three. That top one. Work on the solution to that top one for 21 days. Let that work itself out. Let that one thing that's burning you out become something that is not affecting you as much before you move on to the next thing. Then work on that for 21 days and then move on to the next thing. By the time you get to 90 days, you'll feel so much lighter, and you'll be
Right.
almost out of burnout, or at least you'll be able to think a whole lot clearer about the things you need to do to come completely out of feeling the way you're currently feeling.
Okay. You heard what she said. Write it down, the three steps now, okay? 21 days, 21 days, work at it because we don't need nobody. I mean, it happens very often.
Yeah.
But if you follow these, Simone is giving you advice. She take it from her. She had 20 clients, y'all. 20 clients. She cut them down to three. She had to let everybody go back, revamp. And, she definitely has some self care. She figured out some things that work for her moving forward. So write those steps down, okay? What are some signs of burnout that people should be aware of?
Mm. So signs of burnout include extreme fatigue. They include languishing, the feeling that you can't feel, like you're just going through the motions. They include extreme aggravation, like you're always on edge, like the moment that something happens, like you just feel like you're about to do it. Even to the other side of things, you feel super emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So one little thing can set you off, the crying. So those are some of the signs. Burnout is prolonged stress, excessive prolonged stress.
Okay.
So stress in it itself, most of us experience 90, I think studies 96% of people experience stress. Stress is natural. That's not the issue. The
Right.
issue is periods of excessive and prolonged stress, right? And
Right.
so the things that are stressors in your life, the goal is to minimize those things so you don't get burnt out.
Okay.
So that is relationships, your work day, things that are happening in that way. Whether it's just not getting enough rest, and when I say rest, I don't mean sleep, because you can get 8 hours of sleep, still not be resting, because you got so much on your mind. It happens to all of us. So really to minimize stress, and when you just feel pent up in your emotions, you feel exhausted, you feel like you're unable to move, you feel
Right.
overwhelmed, things like that contribute to stress, and then that stress is going to lead you to burnout.
Wow. Okay. I experienced burnout before, so I definitely know what you're saying. It can affect everything. So, with that being said, how has it affected your mental health? How has that been affected?
Yeah, I think I struggle a lot with depression. And I've been able to manage it, but that doesn't mean that just because someone's managing something doesn't mean that they don't struggle with it. Like,
Right.
two things coexist. But I do notice that when I'm feeling very stressed, when I am feeling burnt out, or when I'm getting to burnout, right? That the depression sets in. In right before it does, I hit languishing, like I'm just not feeling, and I'm going through the motions, and then it goes
Right.
into depression. And so for me, I try to really just check that. Now that I know the cycle for myself. I think some of us can't necessarily identify it, but now that I know the cycle, I know to what to do to pull up. I actually have to give my life a little more time and attention and a little more effort. There's
Okay.
something going on in my life that I'm not satisfied with, that I don't like, and I've decided to not address it. And that's what's making me feel stagnant. That's what's making me languish. That's what's heading me toward burnout, because I'm not addressing what the issue is, and I'm just letting life happen to me instead of owning the control that I have.
Right. Okay. So, what message do you hope to convey to our listeners today?
Well, that if you are feeling burnt out, know that I believe studies show that, what is it, 46% of people experience burnout. You definitely are not alone. That's almost half. Half of people experience this. And so that it's okay, and
Right.
that you can overcome it. And it's not quick. Those steps I gave you will help start to lift the veil, but the extreme turnover from burnout can sometimes take years. So be patient with yourself. Grant yourself grace. Don't try to overwhelm your mindset with, I have to get out of this. I have to, like,
Right.
don't do that. Give yourself grace. Take it one step at a time, and you'll get to a place in which you feel lighter.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you so much, Simone, for coming on the show. I was
Thank
so
you.
excited to have you here. I'm always excited to have my guests here, but I was like, Simone, we gonna get into it, okay? We're gonna get into some good conversation here. But I'm super grateful that you were here to tell your story. um, Before you go, I seen that you had an event that you were practicing and studying for. I watched your stories. You did amazing, but you were super nervous and you shared with your audience how nervous you were and how much you had practiced. If you can share a little bit about that, I don't know if it's something that you didn't announce yet or.
No, so I do like a lot of podcasts, and I do sometimes some guest coaching and like other coaching environments, but I had a corporate speaking event,
Okay.
and I hadn't had one of those before. And so I was really nervous. The event's already passed, but it was just to this corporation. And it was such a huge deal. Like, they paid me real corporate money, girl. They
Oh,
paid me real.
nice.
So but I was speaking about like workplace burnout. And I taught a session on micro joys and what they are and how to incorporate them in your workday. I had a
Okay.
workbook that was curated for them, and everything went really well. They treated me to lunch afterward. It was great. And yeah, people said that they actually want to take the advice home. They're going to use it. They're going to implement it, and
Yeah.
that just made me feel really good. I felt like, I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just really,
Right.
because you're an employee, like when you're an entrepreneur, feel like you have more control, but sometimes when you're an employee, you feel like I have to do whatever they tell me. But there are ways to feel more lightness, and being able to share that with people that have a hard time feeling that. Amazing. Amazing.
So amazing. Do you want to share where people can reach you, get in
Yeah.
contact with you?
Yes. So I am on Instagram and Threads at the Simone Little. Very simple. DM me, send me a voice message. I love voice messages. I send them back. My website is fortheloveoflife.thesimonelittle.com. And yeah, just connect with me.
Awesome. Thank you for tuning into Her Story Untold Studios. Your support means the world to us. Remember, every story we share is a beacon of hope and strength. No matter what you're going through, know that you are not alone. Together we can overcome anything. Until next time, stay strong, stay hopeful, and keep sharing your light with the world. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.